Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm Timo Lankinen, coming from Prime Minister's office, and I'm here to ask a question if Finland is a prisoner of its own success in education system. And I'm thinking that actually when Finland topped the league tables of OECD PISA studies, it made us a little bit lazy in that sense that we didn't want to get better in our response to the needs. And we actually asked ourselves that why to fix our education system if it's not broken. But now it's question that can we actually make a case here for change of a successful education system for the future? And are we actually confronting the future needs here at the moment? So Finnish education actually topped the league tables in the beginning of last decade when OECD started PISA studies, and it made Finnish education into international headlines in many ways. And here we can actually say that there is truth also. We see that actually there are success factors behind good results in OECD PISA studies. And we have had actually successful education system, which has actually provided high academic achievement. It has been based on equality-based policies and provided services for all. And our educational institutions have had broad educational and social mission. Whole society has placed high value on education. And we have enjoyed a high level of teacher preparation and valued also our teachers as valued experts. Many countries don't have the situation where young people want to be teachers as much as in Finland. We have also provided individual support to those students who are falling behind and provided a multi-layered approach to respond to the signs when they are falling behind. And at the system level, I think that we demonstrated also the willingness and ability to change the system for better. But now it can be questioned, that too. Also, all Finns actually have a lot of faith in education system as an institution. Looking at Finnish institutions, Finns say that they put education system as a number one when looking at faith in different institutions. Especially Finns rely on comprehensive school. Even so that actually Finns think that it's the most significant event in Finnish history when we established comprehensive school. The results have been good, and Finland does very well in comparisons and league tables measuring a long-term structural competitiveness and wealth. In those league tables, education boosts Finland in all those rankings. We can see that for example, Global Innovation Index, World Economic Forum, Innovation Union Scoreboard, they all actually put Finland on a top position. And that means that actually behind the success is that actually education system is in a way in a good good shape. In a way, we have been able to be successful in combining high-quality expertise to equality and efficiency. And somehow whole chain of competence has functioned well. We have had efficient and open education institutions. Healthcare has promoted it. We have had excellent comprehensive education. Higher education institutions have produced educated population, and so on. And international rankings have shown also good results even in higher education, not only on PISA studies, but also at other fields of education. Even higher education systems rankings, Finland is faring quite well. Even in research area, Finland is in the top of the many league tables. But there is a very much erosion in the foundation of knowledge and competence at the moment. There has been traditional strength in that we have invested a lot in education and training, and also to research and development. But now we'll see actually public investment decreasing in both of those areas. We have had high-quality primary education in that sense that actually it produced good results in international PISA studies. But now we can see also that the competence levels of young people are falling at national evaluations and also international evaluations. The level of educational level also has stopped rising in the youngest age groups. And we have also deficiencies in the maintenance and development of competencies at all levels of education when it comes to adult and supplementary education and training. We do well still in competence rankings internationally, but we can see that the levels of young people are declining. This is shown by National Board of Education evaluations, by University of Helsinki evaluations, and also international studies. Most dramatic decline has been in reading, writing, and mathematics. There have been also negative changes in attitudes. Competence differences are growing also between pupils and between schools. Also, we can see that actually the impact of social background is increasing amongst young people's situation. And we don't make the use of the potential of digitalization in teaching and learning. Many actually countries have increased tertiary level education during the last 10 years. But we can see here that actually Finland is not doing so. We are nearly the only country at the moment where the proportion of young adults with tertiary education has actually stopped at the level of 2000. We see the change also in OECD PISA studies. We see the change in performance levels. And Finland is nowadays on the quartile where actually performance is deteriorating at the moment, quite significantly, especially in this mathematics area. But also literacy levels, literacy of youngest age groups was better in the late 1990s than it's now in 2012. We have seen also the declining performance levels in University of Helsinki evaluations of learning to learn skills, which is a unique evaluation in that sense that it's done over 10 years. And the they studied learning to learn skills and evaluated especially reading comprehension, mathematical and deductional skills. And we can see here that actually pupils performed worse in all assignments compared 2004 to 2010. And the solution rates of in all competency measuring assignments, they actually declined significantly. Notably, there was also the number of above or average performers also decreased clearly. The difference here in this study is comparable to Finnish pupils' literacy points falling below the OECD average. Looking at also trades in international mathematics and science studies, 2011, we can see also a very big decline in mathematics scores. And here we can say that contrary to the PISA results, the trend in pupil competence is clearly declining. Of course, we are still on a par with other Western countries, but it's still declining. And here the interpretation is that actually it can be said that the mathematical skills of seventh graders have been declined by one school year over the past 12 years. One of the most striking actually evaluation is that actually we see very big difference nowadays in migrant and non-migrant students. Even the biggest difference in OECD PISA studies when we compare to other OECD countries. When PISA studies began in the beginning of last decade, we saw very little differences, but nowadays the difference is biggest in Finland. We can think about the factors behind the drop in competence levels. Of course, there are social changes in social structures and values, and the significance of school has decreased in the lives of young people. And schools are not the stages of self-expression, or they don't enable that kind of social advancement that they used to be. There has been also changes in school practices, and the sensibility of meaningfulness of learning is being questioned. Learning should be actually relevant to the regard to the future. It should be motivating and meaningful for pupils, but still, and it requires pushing one's limits and acting outside the comfort zone. Other studies, we don't actually fare very well in digital society. We have fairly good, actually good conditions here in Finland, in businesses, in public sector and in schools, but we actually don't use ICT very much or efficiently. We are actually very bad users of digital technology in Finland. And in a way, also Finnish schools have some of the best ICT equipment in Europe, but still Finnish schools use least information technology in Europe. We see that actually there are over 30% of students who almost never use a computer in lessons. Same kind of situation when looking at computers being used for teaching purposes. Students at upper secondary schools or in vocational educational training they also see the impact of ICT use on learning quite poor. And also the confidence of Finnish school children in their ICT skills has decreased. Many actually cannot use a computer as a tool. It's more for fun. So for what kind of world we are actually educating or training people? I think that actually for 20 years ago, we thought that actually we in Finland, as in USA and Europe, thought that actually we are preparing people for creative work. And creative work is done here, and we push other work to developing countries. But now, after 20 years, we see that actually to be successful in global competition and to safeguard our welfare services here in Finland, we need a broad spectrum of competencies combined with top expertise. In 1990s, we thought that high expertise tasks, they are for us, and other work should be put into developing countries. And we thought that actually higher education was for us, and we invested much in higher education on those days. Coming to next decade, next century, we began to see that actually all work at all levels can be transferred to the developing countries. And now, time after the financial crisis, 2010s, we see that actually we must pay much more attention to higher order skills at all levels, not only at higher education, but all levels of education, to students' ability to use knowledge and competence. We see big evolution of information economy and society, dramatic change in the nature of work, where actually new technologies and globalization can replace tasks and companies. And we are in a very fierce global competence race at the moment. At the same time, financial crisis challenges long-term investments in education, especially in Finland, where educational services are very publicly funded. So what kind of world we are educating and training young people, and what kind of demands it sets on education and competence? I think it's mostly creativity. That should be the answer. That's what's needed. But also what's needed is investment in preschool and primary education. So at the first part of the education system, also in Finland. We need also broad spectrum of professional competence, which means that we must invest also to vocational education and training and to higher education and vocational training. There is also need for depth of competence among higher education educated experts. And very much need for growth of creativeness and innovation. Young people should be actually creative. They should be ability to operate in an increasingly complicated environment in future. They should be actually have abilities to constantly innovate and to be inventive and learn constantly in organizations and individually. But there is also a need for empathy and global understanding of different societies and communities. And all education should actually use the latest level of technology also. The changing nature of work and society, it actually means that we need to acquire information, or students have abilities to acquire information, but that's not on the premium. What's on a premium is that actually we need those kind of abilities to students where they can actually analyze, synthesize, and apply what they have learned to address new problems, to design solutions, to collaborate effectively, and to communicate persuasively. And those abilities are very much the same we see at the moment, most importantly, used at the work at the moment and in future, where we need the identification and solving of problems, searching for information to solve problems and support decision-making, independent study and work, excellent communication skills, and efficient use of especially ICT tools. And those are very much in the line of 21st century skills, which highlight ways of thinking, ways of working, tools for working, living in the world. And this, to my mind, sets very much different perspective to education system in Finland too, at all levels of education. I think that we have to actually ask critical questions to us. Can we actually effectively lead a systemic change for better learning in future? I ask myself that do we have actually enough attractive mission and ambitious goals at the moment, which actually would provide high levels of metacognitive content in instruction? Do we have actually strategic capacity at the center at the moment to set actually those ambitious goals and to steer the development of education system for those ambitious goals? Do we have actually right policy instruments here in Finland in order to get those results? Do we have actually collective and individual capacity at schools by school leaders and teachers? And financial requirements and incentives. But also, do we have evidence to inform us about developments and effects on teaching and learning? And whenever needed, can we actually intervene or do intervention if we don't get adequate success in that sense? I think that there is a need for systemic improvement of Finnish education system, where we should actually put very high goals for us in future and work for shared joint vision of the demands for 21st century learning. And there we should actually highlight goals for more higher order skills and decrease actually the content levels at basic education, but also in other levels of education. We should actually align our policy measures across all the aspects of the system and have a coherence of policies over a sustained period of time. We shouldn't change them yearly. There should be enough multi-level leadership that we actually can consistently implement those targets, what we set to ourselves. It means also that there should be actually better structure of education providers, and there is an actual need for consolidation at that level too. But we should move from innovative small-scale practices to scaling up as a more systemic innovation. More systematic development is needed in many ways. Here we see also that we should actually document our practices and evaluate results and practices so that evidence would inform us in instruction and policy making. And we should actually take digital learning resources into everyday practice. Thank you very much.